my gosh, we are on episode 10. That's crazy. Here we are. We are at a decade that doesn't match. We're at 10.
10.
Anyway, what's up, everybody? We are calling all nerds, and you have answered the call, the beacon in the sky. We are your friendly neighborhood hosts that talk about everything within the entertainment zeitgeist, and we are so excited to talk about some amazing stuff tonight with you all. Thank you so much for joining us for episode 10. And like Tyler was saying, it's so cool to see that we are now officially in the double digits. We really have just a few main topics today. This is probably not going to be a very long one for this week, but that's fine. But we got some main topics. First off being CD Projekt Red's apology that they officially announced. We also have some crazy Lucasfilm news.
They're going crazy.
Star Wars. The what?
They're going crazy.
Yeah, they're going crazy. Star Wars is no longer EA exclusive, and so now all heck is breaking loose, all these new ideas, and thank God EA is no longer in control, because now we can finally get some great games, except that they did do a good job with Jedi Fallen Order.
They did.
I will give them that. I kind of am sad because now that it's no longer under EA, I don't know if we're ever going to see a sequel to that game.
Probably not.
So, probably not, but that's okay. That game was still great. And then finally, Bethesda Machine Games is going to be making their own original Indiana Jones game. And so, I mean, we're getting some classic new stuff here, from Star Wars to Indiana Jones. Like this is some like old school stuff. And so those are our main topics for today. And then, of course, as you all know, we will then go on to upcoming games that we're anticipating for the rest of this month, what we both are playing currently, and then our favorite entertainment of the week that we will talk to you about. And then normally with our upcoming games, it's like this week we're including something that's not a game. So we're going to be including some news about a new film that Tom Holland is
not
going to
Spider-Man.
be in.
It's not Spider-Man.
Yeah, it was kind of disappointing.
It was teased and it was weird and I was annoyed.
But it's Tom Holland and we love him, so we'll give him some credit.
Cool.
But yeah, I thought we could go ahead and start off with kind of some crazy news, and I really want to see your opinion on this, Tyler. This is kind of my main topic, I guess, that I kind of have researched, I would say, out of the three. But this is in regards to CD Projekt Red's apology. And so what this was on the 13th, Wednesday, CD Projekt Red on their YouTube site posted a video titled Cyberpunk 2077, Our Commitment to Quality. And we will have a link to said video in the YouTube links so that you can watch it there if you feel so inclined. But it was basically a quick 5-minute video of a very subdued co-founder, Marcin Iwinski. I totally am butchering his Polish name, so I apologize to him. He's not listening, I'm sure, but I always hate when I mispronounce people's names.
Our condolences.
Basically, the co-founder of CD Projekt Red came out and apologized on behalf of the company for just the absolute train wreck that the release of Cyberpunk 2077 has been. But in a lot of ways, just from watching the video, they didn't really take ownership of any kind of wrongdoing, which, I mean, it's pretty you can't really hide the fact that they were kind of caught in the act with how they released this game. They kind of talk about how they were working on the base console version of the game in this video up to date for like a day zero patch, and they thought that with the day zero patch it was going to fix all the issues that the base console would have, which just reading the comments in YouTube from other big developers, they were like, yeah, I'm calling bullcrap on this because nobody believes a day zero patch is supposed to fix basically the entire game.
Did you turn on a PS4 and look at the game? Because if you didn't, that's a problem.
Yeah, and so they kind of put the blame. They said not to blame the developers, which we didn't in the first place.
No one was believing that.
We were blaming the executives for making the decision because their bottom line is they want to have their investors happy to get more money. And their investors are not happy. No one's happy. They're kind of reaping what they're sowing at this point. but basically they kind of put the blame, like in no uncertain terms, like he kind of said, oh yeah, this was just not caught during QA. And so basically we're supposed to believe that QA at no point had warned them that the base console versions were basically unplayable
Yeah.
up to the release of the game. And it just kind of goes into that whole discussion we had all those weeks ago when this game was released, that, it was only able to be reviewed on PC, that you were not allowed to use anything but beta footage.
That's the other shady part, right?
Yeah, it was so shady because they knew that they were releasing a game that was not ready and they thought they could get away with it. And, obviously this is an attempt to win back goodwill. I mean, it is honestly pretty surprising to see any kind of founder of a company come out personally and make a video of talking about their commitment to a game. But it just seems completely half-hearted. Like, it kind of feels like they've missed the entire real issue, or not that they're missing it, but that they're trying to hide it still, that they're trying to like come out and say, oh, look, we're apologizing, but you're really not owning up to anything. And then at the very end of the video, Marston showed a roadmap of 2021 of what's going on with this game. And it's a very bland roadmap. Like, it looks like a roadmap that someone made up in like an hour.
Yeah.
Because literally it says for like January and February, there's going to be 2 major patches, patch 1.01 and 1.02. And then it's just complete gray. Like, it's saying like, and then throughout the rest of this year, we are going to be releasing multiple more patches with a plan to release our first round of DLC in the first half of this year, and then by the second half of this year, releasing the next generation version of this game.
Yeah, which is and the way this is positioned to try to help with like people who might be listening. Well, I guess even our live site doesn't show it, but to try to picture this. So you have 2021 on the left side and 2022 on the right side. So patch 1 and patch 1.1 and 1.2 are definitely Q1. But then literally the entire rest of it is this gray area. So you have a very small, like fourth of the entire line. Honestly, like even less than a fourth is these first 2 patches. And then it just says multiple updates. And the one thing to kind of note is, now picture in that gray line, free DLCs on the left, kind of towards the start, whereas free next-gen console update, it's definitely down the line, a little more closer to that 2022 area. So it's interesting to see that, because it's like how much longer will it take? It might take that 1.1, 1.2 to help previous gen, might take to about March, let's say. Then brings the question, maybe you should have just waited till March to release the game. And then,
or the console versions.
Like wait maybe till for the console versions, because that's not uncommon. I've seen plenty of games that have come out on PC first, waited a while. Sure, they're indie games a lot of the times that you see people do that. So like Stardew Valley is a great example. That came out on PC first. As it got popular, it trickled down into others. I know Cyberpunk's a little bigger of a game to do that, but you could release it in a few months down the road, allow console players to get it, especially with a big desire of console players wanting to play it on the next gen. You can't even really get a next gen console right now anyways, so maybe releasing it a little bit later, you still probably would have had a bunch of pre-orders. But yeah, it's a weird graph. Definitely take a look at it. It's an interesting one.
Yeah, it's just so weird, man. And it just makes me really worried about the future of this franchise. Like, because I mean, at this point, if they're saying that, they're going to be working on fixing this up until a year from now, how many people are still going to be playing? How many people are still going to be playing this game? Because we are officially in a new generation of console. Granted, it is a very slow beginning to new generation of console, probably the slowest generation shift ever. Partly because of COVID, but also partly because there's not that many new games out. for these first 3 months of the new console generation, as well as you can't get a hold of one. Like, I'm still trying to find one, and I honestly don't think I'm going to be able to get a PS5 until like 2 months from now, probably, unless I get lucky.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of one of those things where, you know, by the time that they fix all these issues, if they do for the base console, which honestly they have to fix the base console before they release the next gen, you know, edition of it, or otherwise, like, no one can upgrade from the base gen to the next gen. Like, this game is, that's the crazy part. This game is still not available to buy on PlayStation. You cannot buy this game right now
I forgot about
on the PlayStation Store.
They just took it off. I forgot about that.
And I mean, just from what we've been reading over the last few weeks, the amount of people playing this game on Steam on PC is drastically dropping. You know, people are beating this game and then they're just not going back to it. And so, you know, you're not getting a huge game base of people. You know, I don't know how it was with The Witcher 3 when it was released, but that was a game that just people wanted to stay in for a very long time. And then they just pretty like quickly released the big expansions like Heart of Steel and, you know, Blood and Wine, which was an amazing expansion. And they released those, I believe, within either the same year or within a year and a half of the game's release. And it just kept people coming back to it. And that's why Witcher 3 was so successful, was because people just wanted to keep playing it.
I did hear that Witcher 1 had like some bugs for sure. Right. So like the very first one that came out, but I don't think between the Witchers it got to an extent of unplayable. I think they were definitely like playable states. And there weren't as many game-breaking bugs that were being found like they had in Cyberpunk.
Yeah, I really just think CD Projekt Red bit off more than they could chew with this world. I mean, just the verticality of the, you know, I just feel like they just kept running into problems. I mean, even the co-founder said that, like, they just kept running into issues that would break the game. And I really think that they were just in over their heads on this. I feel like they had the right amount of ambition. They just did not have the follow through to really make this the game they wanted to make it. You know, they kind of always hyped up how this world was going to be livable. Every NPC had a story if you followed them around. And then you see people saying, like, these NPCs are mindless drones. Like, there's no
have like full conversations. You can't talk to any of the smaller shops that are just posted around. There's also annoying bugs where if you accidentally shoot a gun or swing a weapon, if you look at a crowd, turn around and then look back, they all disappear. They literally just disappear. So their quote unquote living, breathing community just literally disappears. And it's like, oh, okay, this was living and breathing, huh? This is pretty dead.
And, you know, and then now there's like a federal class action lawsuit against CD Projekt Red for releasing a game under like false pretenses from a consumer point of view. And it's just such a mess. It just makes me sad to see them fall so low. And, you know, I feel like they thought coming out with this video was going to mend fences. And I don't think it's enough. I don't think they've won back any kind of goodwill with this because no one's really buying it. Like, no one's really buying it. Like, you can't really say anything at this point. Like, take a page out of the book of the guys who did the space game. The name escapes me.
Game.
You played it. The what?
Space game?
Yeah, there was that game that came out and everybody like hated it, and the company like went dark for years.
No Man's Sky. No Man's Lie. Yeah.
And called, you know, they had their redemption story and came back and just really made this game amazing. And
you know, it's so funny with them. So with No Man's Sky, everybody knows about their redemption, right? Everybody knows that it happened. They commend Hello Games for doing a good job, and everybody's like, please don't be like them. It's like, good job. that Hello Games came up and came out on top and had a redemption. But please, everyone's like, please, for the love of God, do not be like them. Please just make a game and do not have to go through what they did. Because not many people would survive that. I'm surprised Hello Games survived what they did. And it's just like, it's just funny because everybody knows them for that for sure, that they made it through. And it's like, good job. Just please don't anybody ever copy this because it was awful.
Oh yeah, and I mean, to close out this topic, I agree. I just hope that this whole kerfuffle with CD Projekt Red, that thanks. That's the only thing I can think of at this point. I just hope that it changes the industry for the better to like be like that like, oh man, we cannot pull this because it's going to destroy us, or it's going to like really not do well for our company.
Yeah.
So I hope that it's better. It really kind of pushes the question of, are pre-orders worth it?
I'm done with pre-orders, man.
I am too. Honestly, I am too. Like, I've been burned so many times with pre-orders, and I'm just kind of over it. I'm like, you know what? When the game comes out and I see the reviews for it, I'm going to buy it if I want to play it.
Yeah. And you can get it day of now. And you're good.
Yeah. There's just no incentive to pre-order anything anymore. And you honestly, you don't owe them a pre-order. Like, they have to prove to you that their game is worth it.
Yeah. No, definitely.
So, yeah, I'm kind of over it. But yeah.
Especially with the digital age. Digital age makes the question of pre-orders, at least for me, I've been questioning a lot. I started going pretty hardcore digital only whenever I got either my PS4 or my Xbox One. And my PS4. So my PS4 really drove pretty hard, a whole digital thing. I was buying physical copies of games at first, right? Like, so I have games like Until Dawn, Uncharted, Bloodborne, Spider-Man. Like, I have, well, Spider-Man I got later on because it was on sale for like $5, but I have like a lot of early on games as discs. But then you could definitely tell as time went on, I started getting more into digital. And I still watch a streamer, and his name is Dan's Gaming. And whenever I would watch him, he would get that question asked of, hey, are you pre-ordering X game? And he would always just say, no, what's the point in pre-ordering? I can just get the game the day of. And I'm like, yeah, no, that makes sense. Like, yeah, why am I pre-ordering? Like, I can just wait. And another part of his thing was, I'll just wait till day of, because if it blows, I don't have to get it. If it's great, cool, I'll just start the download in the morning and then play it later. Like, I'm cool with that. And I think that's definitely probably the route I'm going to try to remind myself, you know, if I do have this urge to pre-order, be like, oh, hold on, don't forget, let's wait.
Oh yeah, it's definitely going to be a transition. Like, you know, like, we're so used in the gaming community to pre-order games that, you know, it almost seems like second nature. You see a game coming out and you're like, oh yeah, I'm totally just going to buy it right now. Yeah. And then it's ready. I don't have to think about it. And it's like, well, no, like, just be patient and wait, like, just like a few hours, and you can see if it's worth it or not.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, definitely.
But yeah. But did you want to move on to, honestly, probably one of the bigger topics on here?
Oh, yeah. So Lucasfilm Games, they came back, right? Because Lucasfilm Games was gone, but then it came back to life. I remember seeing like a tweet or something like that.
Yeah.
They came back. I'll try to see if I can find it later to kind of mention it, but it was like a whole big deal that Lucasfilm Games kind of came back, and that was where the teases started to begin. And so what happened was Lucasfilm Games is now teaming up for two separate games, one with Ubisoft and one with Bethesda. One is making Star Wars, the other is making Indiana Jones, which I think is so cool. So the first one that we'll talk about is definitely the Star Wars. It is no longer an EA exclusive. Max talked about that in the beginning, where it could mean some sad things with, you know, Fallen Order, but it probably definitely means a lot more good things. So
Yeah.
I have an article here, and it looks like it's from like Ubisoft's news site. So I don't have an author per se. It just sort of says Ubisoft. I was going to read the first kind of two statements. So it says Ubisoft and Lucasfilm Games have announced a collaboration on a new Star Wars game. Development on the project will be led by Massive Entertainment, whose expertise and talents will be used to create a story-driven, open-world experience within the Star Wars galaxy that will also utilize the studio's cutting-edge technology and advancements, including Snowdrop Engine, which I'll go into in a second. The vast Star Wars lore is an incredible source of inspiration for our teams, said Yves Guillemot. Maybe he is the co-founder and CEO of Ubisoft. This is the beginning of a long-term collaboration with Disney and Lucasfilm Games, and we are pleased to be working hand in hand to build upon the incredible legacy of Lucasfilm to create a game that we know Star Wars fans will love. So one kind of thing to kind of take from this, in the beginning, it did talk about the actual like development team. So this one will be Massive Entertainment, who was underneath Ubisoft. And I looked up like what Snowdrop was, because I did not know like right away what that was. So games that are using Snowdrop right now include games such as Tom Clancy's The Division, Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle, South Park The Fractured Butthole, Starlink, Battle for Atlas, Tom Clancy's Division 2, and Untitled, and these are 4 TBA games. It says Untitled Avatar game, The Settlers, Rabbids Adventure Party, and then the Untitled Star Wars game. So I thought that part was a little interesting, mainly because I do know what Division, Rabbids, and South Park are. And they're 3 different games. So I thought that was just kind of interesting that they all kind of run off this same Snowdrop engine, which I thought was kind of cool. Makes me wonder kind of how it's going to look.
Yeah, it's kind of shocking.
Yeah, when I read that, I heard Ubisoft. I'm not the best when it comes to knowing these like subsidiary companies that are like underneath others. So when I'm thinking Ubisoft, of course I'm thinking, Assassin's Creed. I'm thinking like the new Gods and Monsters games that I just played. So in my head, I was like, oh, okay, like Snowdrop, maybe that's what they call that whole like Assassin's Creed thing, because they're claiming it's going to be like an open world like story driven, so maybe it'll run. But now, I was very surprised to see that, this is the Rabbids engine, which, hey, Rabbids was a great game. Don't know if that really shows much about the engine. It was a great game. So it'll be kind of cool to see. I'm very curious, because I know that like Ubisoft can make some cool stuff, but then we've talked about this in the past. They can make some very repetitive copy and paste stuff. Yep. You typically see it within the same titles. So by that I mean, when you play Assassin's Creed and you play another Assassin's Creed, you see,
I don't know what to expect.
You see a good copy and pasting going on. With the Gods and Monsters games, it was pretty nice to see that it was a little different. Had some similar elements, but it was more like that Breath of the Wild. So I hope that this does take a whole new span. Like it might pull from some Assassin's Creed stuff, maybe. It might pull from some of the Phoenix Rising stuff, maybe. But I do hope that it is like its own third category. Like when I think of Ubisoft, I have their Assassin's Creed stuff in one section. I wouldn't put Phoenix in its own section because it is a new game, but I guess we could for just purposes like this. And then I hope that this third section of open world is what this Star Wars falls under, because I would like to see something new and fresh. And I think fans would definitely need that, because if they do follow suit of an Assassin's Creed, I'm already can hear it now of people reviewing it saying, game was fun, got repetitive, did boring Jedi work, do this, fetch quests, boring. So it'd be, I could see this going either way. I'm excited, very hyped. Not very hyped. I'm just very excited. But I'm also trying to not like get too into it, because it really could go both ways.
The thing is, for me, is you're right. I mean, this game is far out.
Yeah.
First and foremost,
Yes.
like we will probably not see this game until like 2024, 2025.
Yeah, correct.
Because
they are, according to
literally
them, they are at
could
the
not
beginning of a new journey. They're still
Right,
working
yeah.
out details, so they don't even have anything.
Yeah, and I mean, they honestly could not do anything until that contract with EA was completed.
Yeah.
They probably already had like some ideas in the works of, and the thing is too with that is with a IP like Star Wars, I think that Ubisoft knows that they don't want to do another cookie cutter kind of job, and I think that's why they gave it to Massive Entertainment or Massive Games, whatever. Like, because their games are all a little unique in their own ways. You know, you do kind of talk about Assassin's Creed kind of being copy and paste. Granted, Division and Division 2 are kind of that same kind of style.
Yeah.
But, you know, you have Rabbids and you have South Park, which are very in their own kind of lane. They both are very unique in how they're created. So I personally would be shocked if they just tried to make a generic Assassin's Creed type open world with like just massive map and a lot of, you know, drop points to hit and find things. I feel like they have to know what they have here. And I mean, they talk about open world. This is Star Wars. Like, there are multiple worlds.
A big world.
Right. It's a universe, really. So it's like, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, I kind of hope that they take a page out of Jedi Fallen Order's book and kind of make semi open worlds, like semi world maps for each planet. You know, like go to like allow for movement between planets and stuff like that, but don't make it so utterly massive in scope that that it's stretched so thin that there's not anything to enrich the planets that you are on. And this is all just talking out of my butt. Like, I have no idea what they plan to do, but there's part of me that has faith they're going to try to take this a different direction. They've probably seen why EA lost the license rights after 10 years, because they weren't able until the very last 2 years to come out with anything substantial. And so, you know, or something that was like different than we've seen before. So I kind of hope that Ubisoft doesn't take this for granted and make something really unique.
Yeah, and I like at the end of this article that I did post for everybody to see at the end, it does talk about a pretty interesting question where it says, with two major franchises, Star Wars and Avatar, being developed by Massive Entertainment, what makes Ubisoft uniquely suited for developing games based on major IPs? And that's a pretty good note. You know, like they are working on some pretty big worlds. Like Avatar, that's a big world.
Yeah.
And Star Wars, another big world. And it is kind of like, yeah, do they kind of, I guess, stemming with what we just talked about with Cyberpunk, that's a company doing the same thing. They have their Witcher world, which is a big one. They have the Cyberpunk world, another big one. So the way they did it was they, you know, split in half. At least this is how they claim. It's probably not 100% in half, but so they cut it in half and they say, you know, these resources go there to Witcher. These resources go to Cyberpunk. Boom. With Ubisoft, I wonder if they're doing, I assume maybe something similar, like you guys go to Avatar, you guys go to Star Wars, or because they're taking the time to have it so spread, it's like, nah, it's like, you know, like 80, 90% Avatar, 10% Star Wars. As years progress, that, you know, that divide will get smaller to a 50-50, to a 40-60, 30-70, and then eventually the game Avatar will be out. Then it's like more work on Star, you know. So it is kind of cool to see that, one, they're getting some, you know, pretty big major titles, because it's exciting. It's fun to see companies grow and what they do. And scattered throughout this article, obviously it's a PR article, so they're going to have kind of like the typical words that you would think, but they definitely really talk about Snowdrop a lot and how this engine is going to really help them because of its capabilities, which is cool. Obviously, they're going to say, they're not going to say, yeah, Snowdrop, it's all right. 10% of the time it works all the time. So they're going to tell you, it's awesome, which it's fine. I'll take it for what they say. Cool. So it'd be nice to see what it can do then. Like, yeah, show us what it'll do. But yeah, that's definitely a big move. And like you were saying, it's sad because it might mean that Jedi Fallen Order is just kind of how it is. Who knows kind of what's going to happen to that game? We'll see. We'll definitely see in the future. But yeah, that part is the sad part. But I think there's a lot to learn from EA and kind of the mistakes. It's not unknown about the Battlefront 2 Battlefront 2 with the micros. Or was that one? Whichever one that was. That was, oh my word.
Yeah, Battlefront 2 pretty much single-handedly ended microtransactions. Like,
oh my word.
The huge use of microtransactions across the board of games.
Just absolutely annihilated it. And it tanked their stock prices like crazy.
Yeah, so, it was not a good look.
And a lot of people have learned from it. A lot of companies have taken a lot from EA's mistake.
Yeah, and microtransactions are definitely still a thing, but nowadays I really just see them in like cosmetics. Really, you only see a lot of them. You only see a lot of them still in like sports games, like 2K or.
Oh yeah, 2K loves doing micros.
Yeah, really any sports game that's really still something so I guess it's still a natural thing for like multiplayer games that are like no story. It's all just kind of the same events over and over again. I probably see a lot more of them in those types of games, which is annoying, but those aren't really games that I play. So I guess to me, it feels like I don't really hear or see them a lot anymore.
Yeah, they do have them in Assassin's Creed and like Phoenix. It is cosmetic only, but I'm not sure if Assassin's Creed does it. But with Phoenix Rising, you can do in-game challenges to get like cool cosmetic stuff without actually having to buy it through real money. So I think that's kind of nice. Like they're like, some of them are super challenging too. You do challenges to get tokens to then spend like in the game. So I can see something cool like that with this, where it's like, hey, you're a single Jedi, go defend against, like 300 enemies. And if you do, you get some tokens to go spend on maybe getting a really cool lightsaber or something like that. Like I kind of think that'll be a thing. But yeah. I don't get too bothered, kind of like what you were saying. But the cool thing is Lucasfilm ain't stopping there. They're still going with this is cool. They did a teaser video. I think I saw it through Twitter. It's probably on YouTube. I'm not too sure. I think I posted their Twitter link. But they have a teaser video. And it is now announcing that Lucasfilms and Bethesda are making an Indiana Jones game. There wasn't much given to this on the face value. If you look deeper into the video, there's a lot of cool like hidden Easter eggs. So I have kind of like two articles that I posted. So one is from Bethesda's website, similar to Ubisoft. It's kind of like the quote unquote official kind of announcement that shows their tweet, just kind of saying, hey, the standalone adventure starring the legendary archaeologist will tell a wholly original tale set in the height of the career of the famed adventurer. And it's like, look at our tweet, look at our video, word. But there's a really cool Games Radar article, and this one was written by Alyssa Mercante, and she talks about how and she references other people too. There's a lot of cool, apparently like hidden stuff throughout this little short clip that they have. So apparently like there's an Easter egg to certain things that are obvious, but then others that maybe aren't. So there's some nods to Bethesda, some to Machine Games, some to Lucasfilm Games. There's even a Todd Howard like hidden Easter egg inside of it somewhere. And like I guess they assume this is like Indiana's desk or whatnot. And then there's hard to see clues that show like, I think one of them, let me scroll down. So apparently there's a plane ticket to Rome, which places the game in 1937, which means it falls between the events of Raiders of the Lost Ark and Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. So that's kind of interesting. So this would be a really cool article. I would suggest kind of people going through and reading. And there's probably some pretty cool YouTube videos out there as well of like YouTubers maybe like analyzing the video and picking out the little things that they see. So it's definitely not like a hey, look at all this content. It's more of like a hey, can you find the content? Can you find the Easter eggs? Which is so cool because it's Indiana Jones, and that's what he does. He searches for clues, and he tries to find, the Lost Ark. He tries to find all these kind of things. So I love that that's the way they tease this, is with you doing investigation work if you want to, and I just thought that was really neat. So yeah, big Indiana Jones game coming. What are your thoughts on that one?
I mean, I'm super excited. I love machine games. I love Indiana. I am very interested to see how this game is, because my first thought when I think of machine games is gore. Honestly, is like blood and guts. It's like, I think of Wolfenstein. I think of Doom. I think of these games that are very bloody, very gruesome.
Yeah, definitely not Indiana Jones. Quake.
Honestly, the cleanest and super tight shooters that I've ever played, and I really love. But Indiana Jones is it's not really known for being that gruesome. It's not really known for being ultra violent or like dark or anything like that. I mean, there's Temple of Doom, but that's dark in the sense of he's facing a cult more than anything else. But, I'm very interested to see if Machine Games is able to take this route. And they could have already have done this before that I just may not be aware of. But, I would hope at least that this game takes on a little bit of a lighter tone. I imagine it'll still be a first-person shooter, which makes sense. I mean, Indiana Jones is a gunslinger. You use a whip, and so when I first heard about this, in my head I pictured first-person, running through Rome or wherever you're going with your little pistol or whatever gun you have, kind of being like a pulp action kind of style. Uncharted is very much so a spiritual successor to Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones is kind of that, best known classic adventure story of a hero who's in way over his head and is kind of just a regular Joe, but survives by the scuff of his pants. Like he's just kind of the guy that you can be behind because he's full of charm and charisma, and even though he kills people left and right, like it doesn't really bother you.
Yeah.
And so I imagine there's going to be a lot of shooting. I imagine there's going to be a lot of fighting, but I really hope that they try to do something new and like you said, involve a lot of cool puzzles. Even if it is first person, that could be really cool. I really hope this is more like temple oriented and him like discovering ancient sites, if it is in Rome or wherever this game's going to be held, and it'd be more about like those puzzles and finding the adventure of it all instead of just killing mindlessly. Which, if they do that, will be a very welcome change for machine games that I'd really love for them to kind of unmask. I feel like all I've ever seen of them is that really ultra violent kind of game style, which really no one else does it quite like them, so I enjoy it, but I'd like to see them try something new. And who knows, they could honestly completely surprise us and come out with a third person like adventure game that looks just like Uncharted, except that you're playing Indiana Jones. But
yeah,
I feel like that would honestly kind of be to their detriment, because Uncharted already does that the best. And so it's like, well, we don't want this to feel like Uncharted. We want this to feel like Indiana Jones, And so I feel like it would be really cool if they could make it work in first person.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I do know like Machine Games didn't do Doom. They only did Wolfenstein.
Oh, you're right.
I'm
sorry.
That was
it
the
did Doom.
Yeah. And I
only know why I thought Machine Games did it.
No, it's all good. I thought so at first. The only reason why I asked, or why I say this, because I was gonna say I've noticed Doom has started to like up their puzzle game, but they're not like that intense. So I was kind of like, oh no, like I don't really know how well I could do puzzles. But I never played the Wolfenstein games. I know that you have. Did you, were like inside of those games, were there like some kind of complex puzzles or whatnot? Or do you think doing puzzles is like probably like a newer thing for them?
I mean, there were like moments in the You're right. You're absolutely right. Machine Games has only ever done Wolfenstein, and then like they did one Quake game.
Yeah.
In 2016, but everything else has been Wolfenstein. I mean, I've played through all of the Wolfenstein games. There's never like super hard puzzles. There are like platforming moments where you kind of have to like figure out how to get to the next room or something like that, but it's never anything super in depth. It's usually just shooting something. You know, like they're very much ultra violent games, whereas I think this is a welcome new journey for Machine Games. I kind of hope they take advantage of it and make it really cool.
Yeah, I think it definitely, like what you were saying, it definitely needs good puzzles, because I think that'll be kind of what's fun. Just running around as Indiana Jones, like shooting and killing, would be kind of weird. I wouldn't really think it's that enjoyable.
So that's not what we know Indiana Jones for.
Exactly, you know? Yeah. So it does make me curious to see kind of what minds they're going to be throwing at this game to be able to pull off like good puzzles. You know, is it going to be third person? Is it going to be first person? Are they going to try to follow suit a little bit with the Uncharted? Probably. I mean, if I was making it, I would probably do some stuff that was like Uncharted, because
if it ain't broke, you know, it's like
for sure. I mean, because they're definitely similar characters. You know, you have like the wittiness, the funniness, the charm, all like what you were saying. And so, yeah, take some of what's been working for the Uncharted series, because obviously it did well. But unlike the Uncharted, at least you get to start with a character that people already are familiar with, right? Like when you bring a new person in, like Nathan Drake, it is kind of like, oh, we got to build this guy up. We got to make the crowd love him, right? At least with Indiana Jones, it's like there's a lot of people who already love Indiana Jones. There's a lot of people who already know, okay, this is what he is. This is how I expect it to be.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Indiana Jones is probably like one of the top 5 classic movie heroes that everyone knows who Indiana Jones is.
Yeah, which is a double-edged sword.
It's the same as Star Wars. Everyone knows what Star Wars is. Everyone knows what Jurassic Park is. Indiana Jones falls into that zeitgeist of like, this is a character people know, even if they've never seen the movies. They know who Indiana Jones is.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
yeah, and like it definitely is a double-edged sword, because one, it's nice that you have a character that everybody knows, or at least a lot of people know, but it also could be kind of bad that you have a character that everybody knows, because everybody's expectations have already kind of started to fill in. Like we've already started to fill in the gaps of, hey, this is my interpretation of Indiana Jones. What do you give out? And if you have something that's like totally wrong, even if you're trying to like have a nice creative outlet of saying, yeah, this is how we think Indiana Jones is, it's going to be like, you're the only one, because nobody else thinks that's how Indiana Jones is. So it could hurt him, but it's huge. It's a massive person to kind of be able to take a storyline of, which, I mean, both of them, right? You get Star Wars, you get Indiana Jones. I mean, these are huge, which is cool. And I'm glad all that we know is just little teasers.
Yeah, I mean, it makes me excited, because I was really upset when Disney, I think it was Disney, I could be wrong, but whoever it was that shut down LucasArts, I was very upset by that, because I really love LucasArts games. Like even like some of their early stuff from like their point and click adventure games, like, and the fact that it's come back.
Yeah,
and they're starting their comeback. And they're starting their comeback with their 2 biggest IPs, their 2 biggest stories. It just shows me that they're ready to come out swinging, and so I'm really excited to see what they bring to the table.
Yeah, here's an old BBC article from April 4th, 2013. Walt Disney Company to shut down LucasArts, the game developer responsible for the Star Wars series. So this was 2013. So yeah, it's been 7 years, and they've
And I
come
guess
back.
yeah, and I should correct myself. It really isn't LucasArts. It's Lucasfilm Games.
Yeah.
So it's not the same company as LucasArts, but it's basically the same people, the same minds.
Exactly. It's definitely to bring it back, which makes sense. Let's give it like a more refreshed name because it has been 7 years.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Another thing that I want to kind of bring up now too is because this is Bethesda, that's another company similar to EA that's been kind of having some issues. Now, obviously, this is a subsidiary company, right? Like this isn't actually like, it's not the Bethesda who made, Fallout 76. It's not that Bethesda. It is just part of them, right? And it's, I don't know. It's like, what do you like? Bethesda's still going to have a say, all right? They're still going to have some word into this in some direction.
Right.
And now, I mean, this is another big title for them. And technically, the last thing that we've been getting from, well, I guess Doom Eternal, it's just so funny because Doom, everybody always knows Doom's going to be good. So you never count that. It's kind of like Bethesda, you just think of them in another category of like, okay, your Fallout Skyrim style, right? They kind of really burned hard with 76 because people wanted a new Fallout and they didn't give that. So now we're in this period where it's been since 76 and they did such crap during that time. They were being so weird, money hungry. They were giving out crud like merchandise that was literally awful, and they were just downhill. They're making like mobile games and all this kind of stuff, and now we're waiting for what was teased, that Skyrim, or sorry, an Elder Scrolls teased. They have that new, I always forget the name of it, that like space RPG. They teased that. We now have a tease of another Indiana Jones game, and I mean these are a lot of games that's kind of like building up in Bethesda's arsenal, and they're not really giving anything out that's really helped prove them yet. So I wonder how this is gonna go, because it would kind of suck if, let's say, their next game is this, I just can't remember what it's called, something with something with space, and
Starfield.
That's it. Yeah, Starfield. I mean, if Starfield kind of blows and they bomb that, it's like, congratulations, you did a bad job again, and now we're still more nervous about the Elder Scrolls game. Elder Scrolls game comes out, it bombs. It's like, great. Now you have Indiana Jones, you're gonna bomb that too. So it's kind of like, man, I don't know. It'll be interesting. It'll be very interesting.
Well, and the final point I wanted to, that I totally did not think about till you mentioned Bethesda as well. This could mean that Indiana Jones is an Xbox exclusive.
Oh, snap.
Because
you're so right.
Because Bethesda is now within
Max.
Microsoft.
No. Saying it so bad.
I know. I mean, I could be wrong. They have it. It is under their discretion to decide what games are exclusive and what are not.
Holy crap. This could be their Uncharted. This could be like Microsoft's Uncharted, literally, and be like Microsoft exclusive. Oh, snap.
That's why I'm saying, like, ever since Xbox, I guess, bought Bethesda, or bought, not Bethesda, but ZeniMax. Yeah, ZeniMax.
Yeah.
Probably a lot of that stress has come down to them. Like, hey, we purchased you to become a first party now under the Xbox umbrella. You need to bring some major IPs to make Xbox worth buying. And so there comes the idea of, we can make the Indiana Jones IP and make it right with Machine Games. And that's the other thing I'm sad about, because I've never owned an Xbox in my life. I'm not going to be able to play Wolfenstein 3 unless I buy an Xbox.
PC.
The what?
PC, probably.
Yeah, that's true. Great point. Yeah, I always forget now that I have a PC that Xbox kind of goes hand in hand with that. So that's very true. So we may get Indiana Jones on PC.
Yeah, for sure.
Gives me a little breath of fresh air there, but at the same time, that was just something I was thinking about. I was like, oh snap, this could be.
No, that's a solid point.
This could be away from PlayStation, which. Good for Microsoft if they get some great IP, because honestly they need to
they definitely
have some to rival PlayStation, and it's going to take them a while, but it looks like they're trying to shape up their teams in a way that's like, we're going to be releasing games that are on par with PlayStation's, or at least we're going to attempt it.
Yeah, and then this is our attempt.
Yeah. Right. This is our attempt. This is our attempt to release games that are going to be rivaling, what PlayStation has to offer. And so I'm very excited to see if they can do it. I'm kind of rooting for them in a lot of ways because, I don't want PlayStation to kind of always hold, that trophy of like, we have the best exclusives, because it kind of keeps them up in the air of like, we're kind of cocky, I kind of want to bring them down a peg.
Get off your high horse.
Right. Give us something that rivals Xbox Game Pass now. It's like,
well, that's cool. So that's what we got, at least for today, for our main topics. So CD Projekt Red's their apology, and then Lucasfilm Games coming strong, or coming back to life, or whatever you want to call it. And now we have some upcoming stuff. Some pretty cool upcoming stuff. I didn't know about the first one that Max wrote down. But we have, looks like 4 upcoming kind of bigger games, and then we have a little bonus film. So Max, I think we actually did a really solid 2 for 2. If you want to go over the first 2 games, and I can kind of hit the last 2 games.
Yeah, for sure. So the first one released actually yesterday that I just want to put on people's radar is Scott Pilgrim vs. the World Complete Edition. So this was a game, it was released a very long time ago. But they just released a complete edition of it, and it is very much kind of an old style arcade game. Kind of like Ninja Turtles Travel Through Time. Like very like 2D, just kind of navigating a one path navigation, fighting enemies as you go through. But it's just with the story of the comic Scott Pilgrim, and I'm a huge Scott Pilgrim versus the World fan. I really love the story of it, how it's a love letter to video games in a lot of way, and the music's really rad. But the art style of it is really fun too. It's, the story of a boy who falls in love with this blue-haired girl while he's dating another girl, Knives, and he decides that he's going to date Miss Blue Hair, and basically she has
Ramona Flowers.
Thank you. Her name was escaping me for some reason.
It's all good.
But she has 7 deadly exes, and so the point of the game, and of course, if you've seen the movie, it pretty much follows that same story as well, is you're going through this game, and every level you fight one of her deadly exes to win her heart. And it's just such a fun game. It's so metal. It's not metal, but it's punk. It's just very like angsty punk rock, this game is. And not enough people play it. I highly recommend it. It's such a blast to play. I know I'm going to be buying it at some point. And it's hard. It's hard as heck. Like, this is not an easy game, and it's not very forgiving. So just have a lot of fun with it if you like those.
It's cheap. $14.99. Nintendo Store.
Yeah, it's not expensive. For the Switch?
Yeah.
Snap. I'm gonna have to get it on the Switch.
Sold.
Dang, that's awesome. And then, of course, we spoke on it a little bit last week, but Hitman 3 releases on the 20th. If you're a big Hitman fan, definitely check those games out. It looks like they're changing up the style of this one a little bit. I hear like some of the levels are different from others, so it's not just the whole same open space mission where you can kind of just assassinate your target however you wish. There apparently are like different styles of missions where you're more of like someone was saying there's an episode in the game that kind of rivals the movie Knives Out, where it's kind of like a whodunit, and you're kind of like a detective or something in that mission. So it sounded kind of interesting to me. Like I've never been a huge Hitman fan, but for anyone out there that loves those games, definitely give Hitman 3 a try.
Yeah, and then the last 2 that we have, I don't know too much about this first one. I have just seen a bunch of the trailers that have been coming out. It's called The Medium. That comes out on the 28th, so it's towards the end. I've been seeing a lot of trailers for it throughout kind of this past like COVID year of weird trailers and video announcements and whatnot. And the medium one, it's definitely kind of like on that horror-esque kind of style of game where
psychological.
You play as a medium, and so obviously you like traverse the I don't know, like different, not worlds, but like spaces. Dimensions, that's the right word. And so it's definitely been eye-catching because there's like some really cool looking visuals, like the trailers and whatnot have a very, kind of gives me like, I would say like almost like revamped Until Dawn look to it. They look like very real characters almost, and the worlds like flip upside down, kind of like Stranger Things, where there's the upside down, which is the same world but in like the different dimension. So there's like that whole thing going on. So definitely not a game that I'm into, but it looks like a really fun game to watch. So I think whenever this game comes out, I'll probably really enjoy seeing some streamers. I'm hoping some of the big streamers start like playing this game. So that comes out on the 28th. And then additionally on the 28th, I just thought this was kind of cool to make note. The Yakuza Remastered Collection also comes out on the 28th. So those are kind of
PC, right?
It just sort of says PS4, Xbox One, and PC. I don't know if this is the first. Let's see. August 20th, 2019 was when it came on the PS4, and then the 28th is when it comes to Xbox and PC. So this is the Xbox PC release, comes out on the 28th as well. So
that's super exciting because that's Yakuza 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah.
And that will officially mean that every single Yakuza game is on PC.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
That's really exciting for me.
Yeah, that's a big one then for sure. And then the last thing that we have, we got kind of teased, Max and I. Well, I thought, and then I kind of teased everybody else, thinking that's what it was.
It's Spider-Man, I swear.
Like Tom Holland tweets, and all he says is 14/1/2021, and I'm like, bro, Spider-Man. Like that's where my mind goes. But no, alas, that is for another pretty cool looking one. I'll give it this. I watched the video. It looks good. It is a movie called Cherry. Unfortunately, this is a Apple TV exclusive though. So if you don't have Apple TV, you cannot watch this, which I do. I bought a new phone and they gave me Apple TV for a year. So this thing better come out before the end of the year because then I can watch it and share it. It is directed by the Russo brothers.
It'll come out March 12th, so you definitely can watch it.
Oh, okay, sweet. Yeah, so I can, I'll definitely try to host maybe like a little watch party for it. Directed by the Russo brothers, which they did the Marvel films, right?
Oh yeah.
So that's exciting.
The event, like the Avengers films
stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so that's a big one. It definitely. So the movie, what it's about is I can't tell the time frame. It looks a little older, but not like World War II by no means. But the main character, played by Tom Holland, he goes into the military. He has some PTSD. He suffers a lot of depression. There's a love interest in his life that you can definitely tell they have some conflict because of his new habits. He becomes addicted and he becomes a robber. So he like robs banks. That was kind of the most of what they gave in the trailer. I would definitely go check it out. It's very fun to see Tom Holland take on these different kind of roles. We saw a little bit of this in that Netflix film. I forgot the name of it. Do you remember the name of that one?
The Devil All the Time.
Yes, which was a super unique Tom Holland kind of acting. So that was cool. And I think this is going to follow the same suit. It's definitely, obviously, less Spider-Man, more like serious Tom Holland. And it will. I think it'll be cool. I think it's going to be kind of intense because some of these, at least in the trailer,
this is going to be a really dark movie for sure.
Oh yeah. So when did you say that came out? March what?
So it comes to theaters on February 26th, and it'll release on Apple TV on March 12th.
Oh, sweet. So that's pretty soon. Just a couple of months away. So I'll definitely be checking that out. Maybe I'll host like a little watch party. That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah.
But that's all we got. That's what's upcoming. Exciting stuff for sure, but not extremely exciting. But hey, maybe someone out there is just dying to play Scott Pilgrim now, which it looks pretty cool. Looks pretty dope.
I hope so, man. That's a fun one.
So Max, what have you been playing?
So I really I finally beat Trails of Cold Steel 4.
You did. I see it's not on the list. Good job.
Yeah, it is officially done. 91 hours or 94 hours, I should say.
Goodness gracious.
Honestly, 20 hours of that was literally talking to every single NPC in every town, probably.
Content, lore.
Yeah, because honestly, you could beat that game in like 60 hours. I totally took my time with it and just enjoyed every second of it. It was beautiful. The ending was perfect. I loved it. It ended the saga of Cold Steel. It felt like Avengers Endgame. And now that I'm thinking about it, it's kind of cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed it. Definitely glad it made my top 10 and that I was able to play it again.
Yeah, for sure.
Small season time when I lost control of it. And so, I kind of had to figure out what else I was going to play. And so I decided, I'm always kind of playing a JRPG on something. So I decided I would boot up Yakuza Like a Dragon, which is the newest Yakuza game. And got it on the PC. Looks beautiful. Playing it on with like really high resolution, and it kind of made me convinced, like, if I ever want to go back and play the original 7 Yakuza games, I need to just get them all on PC because it's kind of the best way to play them, in my opinion now. And I've played Like a Dragon for a few hours, and honestly, it's taken everything I loved about Yakuza and changed the one thing I didn't quite enjoy, which was the fighting style, and changed it into something I do love. It feels like Persona meets Yakuza, and I am all in. This is already in these first few hours. I'm like, this is the Yakuza game I've always wanted. Because I've always loved the story of the Yakuza games. I've always loved the wackiness, the world, how real it feels to Japan. But I never loved the gameplay of it, and this has changed that for me. And so I can already tell, like, if they stay with this style moving forward, I will play every single one of these games. And honestly, I still want to play the original 7. It's just that they're all so much the same. Like, you're in the same town every single game. You're playing the same person every single time. The same mini games. It's really just the story that's different, and the story is always worth it. It's just how many times can you play in the same world 7 times before it gets old? It's kind of that whole idea, like with Assassin's Creed, where it's like it's starting to get kind of stale. And so I'm so glad that they changed up the style of the game to play like an RPG. Really, the battle style is pretty much just Persona, but in the best way possible. And it's in a different town. So now it's like a whole new place that I've never seen before. So it just feels like such a refreshing change. And I am all in. I'm ready to play this game all the way through to the end. And so I highly recommend it. It's super fun. It's completely dubbed, and the voice acting is incredible. And honestly, the main character is so much better than Kirito Kageyama was in the original 7 games, because Kirito was always a great protagonist, but he always kind of felt dull. Like there wasn't a lot to him. He was just always like the perfect fighter, the perfect guy. Didn't emote a lot, but he was just this steadfast rock, this person you could depend on. And you play as this character called Ichiban, who is very much kind of a hero to the misfits. He was raised in a brothel, raised on Dragon Quest. And so when you play him as a Yakuza lackey at the beginning of the game, he's very much wants to be a hero. He wants to treat people with respect, even the people he beats up for money. Like, he kind of like gives them a second chance. And he's like, I was raised playing these Dragon Quest games, and they kind of molded me to be the person I am. And so I want to be a hero. I want to be a hero that I played in Dragon Quest. And Honestly, I think that's why the title is called Like a Dragon. It's kind of like a little like kind of fun note towards Dragon Quest. So it's like a dragon quest kind of thing. I remember.
Oh, nice.
But he's such a heartwarming character. Has so much emotion already, way more than Kirito. And I just feel like they really have completely made every aspect of the Yakuza series better with this game. And I almost feel like I'm getting a fresh start with this series. And I really essentially am. It's a completely new story. They finished Kirito's in Yakuza 6, A Song of Life, but I'm very excited to see where this game takes me. And then outside of that, when I can't be playing on my PC, I'm going to be revisiting Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which is one of the free games on PS Plus this month. I love the Tomb Raider games. This is the final game in the trilogy that have been released recently within the last 10 years. I've already played it once, but I've honestly played through the other two twice. And I just wanted to kind of revisit it. These games are kind of like Uncharted to me, where I can play them over and over and over again, and they get old for me. Like they're just kind of that perfect adventure game that I always love to pick up, that just feel like a good book. And I'm just replaying it. It's a lot of fun.
Now, did you say this is not the first one, correct?
Correct. This is the final one. So there's the new. This is the last one of the trilogy that Crystal Dynamics made, and these games are amazing. Like it's kind of like the open worldness of it. It's very much God of War-esque, where it's not open world. It's like you have your areas. You have like an overworld map, but you're in a very specific small area where you have your collectibles, your tasks, your side quests, your main quests. But it's that same kind of style as God of War, except that you have guns and a bow, and you kind of use stealth to hide from your enemies and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
But this is the third game, the final one, where it takes place, I believe, if I'm trying to remember correctly, in Peru. Or it takes place around like the Aztec kind of stuff. I could be completely wrong on the environment. I still haven't started it yet, but I'm planning to start it tomorrow. But I already forgot where it takes place. I think it's in Peru. But there's Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider, and then Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which is this third one.
Okay.
And and it's a phenomenal game. It's so good.
Yeah, I know I claimed it, and I think I have the first two then on Xbox, because I think Xbox has also given away the first and the second one via like Xbox Live, like the game of the month as well throughout the years. So
yeah, same with PlayStation. They released them for free.
They
the
have
last few years.
Okay.
So
I'll have to go through them. I really want to.
You should, man. I think if you enjoyed Uncharted and if you enjoy God of War, you will really enjoy these games.
Yeah, I like that she's more of a badass, like Indiana Jones. It's just like it's a cool way of how they said, all right, we're going to make a female Indiana Jones and she's going to kick booty. And I kind of like that. I think it's fun. So I'm definitely excited to try it out.
Lara's a great character. She's very tortured, honestly. Like, her story throughout this trilogy, it's kind of cool. The first game really kind of shapes who she is as the Tomb Raider we know. Because at first she's just kind of Lara Croft, this expedition person, and throughout the first game, she kind of has to claim her first life and how she reacts to that. She learns how to fend for herself, how to hunt. Like you kind of do all of that with her, so that by Rise of the Tomb Raider, she's now this experienced explorer who's gotten some blood on her hands. And then Shadow of the Tomb Raider just kind of ramps it up to the nth degree in terms of she kind of does something. I won't spoil anything, but she kind of does something villainous at the beginning of the game that really scares her friends and the people around her in her life. And she kind of spends the whole game kind of making up for that, like kind of finding redemption from that act. And so she's constantly straddling the line of, good versus evil, not good versus evil, but like going too far into the darkness of like what you do, like what you're willing to do to get what you want.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
sounds pretty cool. Sounds pretty deep.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, like they don't land it great, but I could see what they were going for.
Yeah.
But honestly, the gameplay of it is the best part of it. The story is not the best part, but the exploration and the tombs and the fighting, it's fantastic.
Word. That's cool.
Yeah.
And then on my side, man, I finally got my first ever platinum on the PS5 or so. My first ever platinum, like, ever too. And
Nice.
of all games, Bug Snacks. Very first platinum. And then like 2 days later, I platinum Astro, because that was a short one. But man, getting that, I got the platinum for Astro, and then there was like a bonus thing that you could do. Technically, you could platinum the game with 93% completed. And I got to the end and it was like, oh, to get 100%, do these time trial stuff. And I was like, oh, it's just one achievement. Like, I might as well. I literally have gotten everything else, Holy crap. That was the hardest thing in the entire game. doing these like super fast missions felt harder than Demon Souls. I was raging, but I did it. So I 100%ed both games.
Yeah, there you go. Welcome to the platinum life.
Oh my gosh, it's so cool. My trophies have skyrocketed in the past 2 weeks because I've never gotten. I mean, I got Astro had like 30 something. Bug Snacks had 30. I went up like 60 to 70 trophies, and it was crazy. But Bug Snacks was an awesome game, and I won't spoil too much for it. But all I gotta say is, if you haven't played it, you plan on playing it, make sure to watch after the credits. Bug Snacks 2, people. That's all I'm saying. Astro was fun. It was a massive nostalgic trip of just amazingness. They had all these references to, there's 4 main worlds. One world you get the PS1, the second world you get the PS2, third world the PS3, the fourth world you get the PS4. And within those you get like artifacts. You get like, in the PS1 world you get the console, the slim one, the controller, this, and they're all like interactive and fun stuff. There's puzzles to find, and there's a lot of fun stuff. It was a really cool like Sony thing, and I was like, leave it to Sony, man. They give it to you free, and it was just great. And the funny thing is it felt like such a good game. It was so polished. You could totally tell that Sackboy and Astro was made on the same engine. 100%. They're literally the same style of game. But that was fun. So I did that this past week. Still playing Demon Souls. Peter and I play it together. So that kind of takes its time. So we're still doing that. Nothing really too new on that front. But then wow, that was weird. But then the big game that I'm kind of playing on my own is Stardew Valley. I mentioned it last week that Stardew got its 1.15 update, so I decided to check it out. I'm currently 41 mods into the game. I have 41 mods running on this thing, and oh my word, is it so good. Man, it was like a work night the other night. I usually get off work around 4-ish. So I started playing Stardew around 5. Peter finished dinner around 7. Me and him ate, and I think that's when we watched the new anime show that I'm going to be talking about for my entertainment of the week. We watched that. Afterwards, I kept playing. Now, again, this is like a work night, and because I am the equivalent to an old man, to me, work nights are like how school nights were. And it was like, well, you gotta wake up early, gotta go to bed by like 9 or 10. It was midnight. Right. It was midnight, and I was like, I gotta go, man. It's like, because I could just keep going. It's just so much fun, because I realized through my first 100 hours of this game, I missed out on a lot, and I haven't played the game in a while one I have, but the like mobile versions, which is what I have, are like a good step behind the PC version. So I've definitely missed out on like 1.14, 1.13. So I've definitely missed some iterations, which is definitely in my favor because my first 100 hours was very vanilla Stardew Valley. Very just like, hey, here's this, here's some cool side quests and whatnot. And now with all these massive updates that brought in new features for your farms, new quests, new UI things, mixing all this new content that Concerned Ape made, in addition to the mods that I've added, is really making it feel like it's a brand new game. Because I have mods that are really affecting visuals, so the look of the game definitely has a new kind of refreshing look that I haven't seen before, making me want to dive in more, right? And then I have some UI enhancements. I have some like quality of life enhancement that just make the game more fun. I downloaded a mod to have like a whole new cooking skill and it revamp this. And so the combination between the mods and 1.15 and before, it's felt like a new game, and I wouldn't be surprised if I get another 100 hours in this game, and my total play time is going to be like 2 something on this. So I've been playing that. Nice. It's been, I play this game. I have about like 20 tabs open up on like Stardew Valley Wikipedia pages. I have a farm planner opened up so I can plan out the layout of my farm. I'm investigating stuff, and it's great. These are all the things I love. I love these kind of like tycoon style video games where you just plan things out, and I love farming games. I don't know why. I just love them. I love Harvest Moon. That's awesome. Harvest Moon was so much fun. To me, Animal Crossing was very similar, just didn't have the farming aspect. I just love these style of game, and I can easily put some hours. And Stardew does it right, because Stardew definitely not just farming, because you do some fun quirkiness. There's some cool quests. There is definitely like a combat piece to this thing, fishing, all that kind of jazz. So Stardew Valley, that'll be the big one. More than likely, we'll be hearing me say that on the podcast for the next few weeks, kind of similar to Max and the game that he was always announcing. So buckle up, get ready to hear some Stardew Valley stuff.
Yep,
for the
probably.
next few months. But yeah, so
you're just gonna hear it for like the next year.
Oh my gosh, for real. I've considered how much I could just put into this game, but so that's me. That's what I'm playing. But it's been fun.
Nice, I like it. Well, then, should we end out with the entertainment of the week?
Oh yeah, calling all weebs. We got some content for you guys. Both of us picked an anime.
Yep, we sure did. Well, this honestly, this season, for those of you that don't watch anime, basically new anime is released every season. So there's winter, spring, summer, and fall. So every 12 weeks, a new series of anime are released in the dozens. And so normally every season, there's usually like maybe 1 or 2 good shows to watch. This winter, literally, so many seasons of shows came out that are just worth everyone's time. Promised Neverland Season 2, Dr. Stone Season 2, Log Horizon Season 3, Attack on Titan, the final season, ReZero.
Oh, yeah, ReZero. Yeah.
Like, there's just too much to watch. Like, I had to settle on 5 shows, and I was like, this is all I can keep up with. Like
5 shows, that's insane. That's awesome. Yeah, I love insane. That.
But yeah, we both have anime from this season. And the one that I want to talk about is one of my 5 shows that I'm watching this season. It's called Eurocamp. And it is so good. It's not a slice of life per se. It's more of just one of those chill shows that there's not really a story to it. This is just a show that highlights the beauty of northern Japan near Mount Fuji, and it's all about camping. This show is literally it's all the show is about. Every single episode is the main characters going to new campsites, camping, showing off their new equipment, how they're cozying up the delicious food they're cooking and eating, and taking in the amazing, beautiful sunrises and sunsets wherever they're escaping to that weekend. And that's all it is. That it's that simple, soothing music. It's a relaxing show. It's kind of that. It's a great palate cleanser for more of the action heavy anime out there. But it's just such a great show to just sit down with like a cup of Joe and just relax and enjoy, and just enjoy the beauty that you see and the beautiful music. And you just kind of learn a new respect for camping and kind of learn some cool camping tricks that you may not have thought of. And I've just really been appreciative of it, especially with how stressful the world is today. It's nice to have shows like this that really can just take your mind off that and just really kind of relax and just see some beauty. And I really appreciate that this season. I feel like more than any other show. And so that's my recommendation is Eurocamp. Season 2 just started this week, or last week, I should say. And all of season 1 is available on Crunchyroll, as well as the first 2 episodes of season 2. And it is highly worth your time. It is just very, very fun.
Yeah, I just texted Julie saying that we have to watch it because it's about camping. And that is like all up in my alley, dude. That's awesome. I'll have to check it out.
Oh, yeah. It's super chill. Just, it's so great.
And so then my anime, it too is featuring its season 2 starting yesterday is when it came out. So it will be a Thursday exclusive if you have Crunchyroll Premium, which I guess means it'll be Friday past for anybody else. But so that is Dr. Stone. So Dr. Stone, I watched. When did I don't remember when Peter and I started Dr. Stone. I guess it was 2020, the first one. So we definitely binged that. It was great. It is I wouldn't say post-apocalyptic, because I don't really know if it's an apocalypse yet. We don't really know too much. But so the entire world got turned into stone. Literally, the entire globe got turned into stone. It's been thousands of years have passed, and a kid has since kind of been revived in a way. He's broken out of the stone, and he just so happens to be a massive brainiac kind of scientist, and he is trying to rebuild society. Genius. Oh yeah, and he's rebuilding society. There's some quirkiness to it, some funniness to it, some sadness to it. There's definitely like an overarching, pretty deep story where you have 2 main kind of ways that people are wanting to rebuild society. So you have your main character who is wanting to rebuild it and rebuild it like better. That is the goal. He wants to like make the society up to where it was and go beyond. And then there's another party where the leader of that kind of group is definitely pretty hurt from the previous life, I believe. I think so. We haven't gotten too much about it yet, but he definitely wants to go down more of the route of, no, grown-ups suck. Like, why do we want these people? We only want like the righteous kids to come back, and we're going to start this world free and no rules sort of a thing, and it's going to be greater in that way. And so they're very conflicting kind of concepts, because one likes the rules and the order and that type of deal, and the other guy's more of like, no, freedom, kids are better than adults. And so these are like the 2 paths, and between it, season 1 was all kind of about obviously your main character and how he's using science to build and create some pretty awesome things, anywhere from ramen to like a cell phone. So it's pretty cool. And season 2 started, which is called What is it? The what wars? The Stone Wars?
The Stone Wars.
Yes. Yeah. So it's Dr. Stone, the Stone Wars, which is where obviously these two conflicting, I guess, tribes are gonna potentially go to war. So if it sounds interesting, definitely watch season 1. It's one of those animes that doesn't take too long to watch because you do definitely get enthralled into it pretty easily. It's a pretty interesting concept, and if you're interested in it, it started yesterday, so you can definitely watch it weekly every Thursday, starting now, and just kind of sit back and enjoy the ride. It's not as chill as Eurocamp sounds, but it's definitely on a chiller side. It's not always, like combat and things like that. It really is fun and kind of. You kind of learn a little bit. Don't try anything at home that you watch on it, but it is kind of cool. You learn some things that you didn't really know was how something was made.
Yeah, it's very different from your typical shonen in a very refreshing way.
For sure.
It's like Bill Nye the Science Guy meets shonen.
Yeah, no, definitely. But so I think with that, it's wrapping up episode 10, making it to the double digits. And I did want to just quickly say a small little aside for those who might be watching us, or I should say, listening to us on one of our beautiful podcasts out there, whether you be on Apple or Spotify or Simplecast. If you're listening to us right now, we kind of have something we want to tell you, and that is that you should totally join us live 7:30 every Friday for a little pre-show action. Today, Max and I actually talked about something that wasn't discussed during the podcast, and that was WandaVision and kind of some topics around the Marvel Universe, I would say. You have a little bit more chance to interact with us live. You can even ask us questions or whatnot through the chat, and it's just like a way to be able to kind of get some extra content, and it's also a way because it is a little hard to interact when we are live because we are definitely getting deep into these conversations. So we kind of adding this little pre-show stuff to kind of interact with the community a little bit better, and also just talk about some extra stuff that isn't making it to the podcast, just to give a little flavor. So if that sounds interesting to you, definitely join us. That's 7:30 p.m. Eastern time every Friday. And if we aren't going live, obviously we will let you all know. But yeah, just wanted to throw that out there.
Awesome. Well, I think that concludes Calling All Nerds episode 10, and we will see all of you next week.
Yes, we definitely will. See you later, friends. Talk to you all soon.
Peace.